Alright guys, here we are going to be working on the foot. Let's see. We have the problem, a lot of us had the problem that as soon as we did the Dynamesh on, like a couple weeks ago, um, it created some issues here with the toes where they actually blended together. Um, so in certain cases this wouldn't be that much of a problem. You just in particular with the little toes, because they actually bunched up together naturally. So all we would have to do is just bunch them together, and just this flaps of skin in between wouldn't matter. We would just hide them. And you can do that, but I'm concerned, or actually, shouldn't say concerned, but I would like to teach you guys a method of how to fix this. In certain cases, you could just actually, let's go into subtool, geometry. We could theoretically just delete this and actually create close the holes on it, but in practice it doesn't work. ZBrush doesn't recognize, how do I put it? It wouldn't create a skin directly on each toe. It would just create the same thing. It would just create another skin right in between the toes to close the hole. Maybe I can show you guys. So let me duplicate this. What do we have here?
Hey, Mom.
And is this the same one? Let me see. I want to make sure that we have, because I have two meshes right now, and I don't want to use one that it's wrong. So let me see. Yeah. Okay, so let's see, solo. Yeah, that's the one that is fixed. Okay, so let me get rid of this one because this is old. Okay, and we'll duplicate this one. Okay, let's go to this one and turn this one off, and let's go back to the feet. Okay, what we're going to do is we have to delete the lower subdivisions on this because it doesn't work with subdivisions. Let's select our select lasso tool, and let's just try to, of course it's gonna do it reversed. Why isn't this working? Oh, I know why. Choosing the wrong keys. There you go. And let's say we do this and we get rid of that. Let's get rid of this one too, all of this area. So we have this open, and you would think that ZBrush, as soon as we hit close holes, would actually close them the way that we imagine it would do, but it doesn't do that. So we have to delete the hidden and close holes. And as you're going to be able to see, it creates this type of mesh. It actually did a good job. This is not that bad, but it usually would create another webbing in between, and you can see there's a little bit of webbing there. So let me see if I'm actually gonna keep this. I think it looks good. When I was trying it at school the other day, it creating a webbing right across, and it was just not good. Let's do a little more. Do it again. And delete hidden and close holes. Yeah, see, it goes back into that. So I guess you could actually do it, a little by little. Just take a little bit out and redo it, delete hidden, close holes. But no, it just keeps creating the same mesh. So in this case it probably doesn't matter, because I can just bring this, move topological, and just bring this a little bit smaller and just try to hide that. It's not the optimum way of doing it, but I guess you could. But let's see what happens if we try this one. Let's do that. Delete hidden, close holes. And it's exactly what happened the other day. This is what I'm talking about. ZBrush will not recognize the holes as separate. It will just unify the whole thing. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna go back, and the solution to this would be to just take off both fingers, just like that. That's maybe a little too much. I'm gonna do it right from right here, and just take that off, and tell it to delete hidden and close those holes. Okay, so we have this very jaggedy kind of hole right over here. Let's give them a little bit of smoothing so we don't have these issues. And there you go. Okay. So how are we going to replace this? We're going to go under brushes, and there's going to be this curved line tube right over here. And according to the size that we use on our brush, that's how thick the tube that we're about to create is going to be. So I'm usually create a little bit longer than I need to, because I'm going to insert it in, and that is still too thin. So I'm going to Control C that, and I'm going to give it a size of 9. Let's see how that goes. Make it longer. That's more like it. Okay. I'm going to do now with, I'm going to click on the mesh to get rid of the curve, and that gets rid of the curve, so we don't have it there anymore. Now I am going to select my Transpose tool, and from here, and I'm going to move it with W. I'm going to move it in position. Now, as you can tell, the mesh is masked automatically. Once you use this tool, it masks the mesh that you're inserting on the tube. And I think that is good enough as far as length goes. I'm gonna keep them separated somewhat, so I'm gonna rotate it. I know that this is not how it's supposed to be naturally, but we're gonna keep these toes separated until the last minutes of working on this mesh, so that way if we remesh this again, I mean Dynamesh it again, we don't get the same webbing that we had before. So now another thing that you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but a very useful tool, instead of me having to create another toe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. And with the transpose line, you can easily do that by holding obviously it has to be in move and with the control key, while holding the control key, you move from the middle circle right over here, the white one, and you automatically create a duplicate. And there you go, and you can just move it to wherever position you want it. We can do this, and I'll rotate again to just kind of move it to the side. And there you go. Now we have the extra 2 toes. Now when I do this, it clears the mask, and now what I can do is re-Dynamesh this. Right now they're separate objects, as you can tell right over here, so they're not going to work in tandem. When you're going to sculpt on them, it won't work. I mean, they will work. I mean, let me tell you how it will work, but let me show you guys real quick. For those of you who weren't in class, you can, but they're still separate, as you can tell. They do not mesh together. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to re-Dynamesh this whole thing. and we're gonna go into Dynamesh right up here. Let's close this modified topology, open Dynamesh. I have it at 2048, which is a good size for what I've been doing, and I'm just going to Dynamesh this. Let's save before we do that, just in case it crashes. Dynamesh. Okay, here we go. It's remeshed. Let's see if it did a good job overall. I want to see whether this created unnecessary problems anywhere. Sometimes Dynamesh, yeah, a little bit on the ears, but nothing that can be fixed. So I'm happy for the time being with this. I guess I could have gone a little higher on the resolution, and that's still a possibility. But for the most part, I'm happy with it. So let's see how different it gets if I Control Z this for a little bit. It's a little bit of different. Yeah, let me get this a little higher, maybe at 30. Let's see. 48 plus 24. I don't know. Let's do it just 30. 3,000. 3062. I don't know. Something like that. 3064. There we go. Pretty good. Let's see how that goes. And let's Dynamesh once again. Okay, so this looks a little better. Let's see. Control Shift C, Control C. Yep, that's much better. I like that. Okay, so let's go back to working on the feet. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, as you guys can tell, yes, there are different polygroups, but if we go to our polygroups right over here, we can actually the group visible, and they're all one. And you can tell. See, when I smooth, they smooth both at the same time. That's good stuff. Okay, so I am going to isolate the feet. Yeah, we're there, and let's do this. Okay. And with our clay tubes, and we have a good setting, we can start masking the form right over here. We're gonna put some flesh around the top. We don't need much down here on the below. I mean, yeah, we have to meet them, but like I had said before, the toes are pretty much, at least I said it in class, they actually hinge from here from the top. There's a lot of fat pad down below, so let's do this. Oh, what am I doing? This. So let's add some here on the top. Let's round these guys off. And I'm just going to add the pad right here on the tip of the toe. Kind of doing circles. Right now this is too strong. So I'm deleting all of my forms. Bring it some more. and make room for the nails. I'll round this off. And make these guys a little smoother than they are right now. Whoops. I think I'm going to inflate them a little bit. So let's go to inflate tool. You gotta be careful with the inflate brush. It tends to do gnarly things to meshes if you're not careful. Can add a little bit here to the side. Toes are kind of funky looking, usually. Let's make this a little bigger, and that's so much strength. You have a little more control over it. There you go. Here on the side, you gotta give it that twist. Actually, let's do this. Let's select the mask lasso tool and soften that up. And with rotate, give it a little bit of rotation. Same thing to this one right over here. Soften it, reverse it. There you go. Just for now, just to give them a little bit of personality. You know, we all know toes are kind of funky like that. And let's bring this. Now I'm using the W tool, the move tool. Actually, bring it over here. Whoops. Nope. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm trying to keep them separate so they're not too close, but you know, we need to make sure that they're the right size. Like this little toe is just way too big. Way too big. So soften by clicking on the mesh, by tapping on the mesh and tapping on the background. Now we'll reverse it. Bring this bad boy down a little bit. There you go. Now he's more of looking like his knobby self should be. Now let's give it a little bit more inflate right over here. There you go. Okay, that's much better. And let's bring this out a little bit like that. Yeah. And let's bring it out. That's much, not much better yet. And to bring this down. That does not exist in real life. So let's go for clay tubes again, and let's make this space right over here, because we have to have that ramp. It's got to be there in between. Whoops, no, that's too ugly. Bring it down. There you go. Okay. So as you guys can tell, we've pretty much regained what we had lost. We have our toes back in pretty much pretty close to the same form we had before. They're nice, hanging nice and strong from where they're supposed to. Let's give them a little bit of pads right over here. And you guys can tell that this is a little bit too strong, too dense of a mesh. It's having issues smoothing out. That means that we're going to more than likely going to have to remesh it with ZRemesher to get back our subdivisions. I'm going to give him a little bit of girth right here on top to make that step. Smooth it out. Create our kind of a roof that all fingers have, no toes. Strong right here on the top. Gonna have to create one here on the side, just slightly. And there you go. And create the little step over here. usually what you got to do is you have to select them and tap that and use your arc key. Got to move it towards the center so it hinges from where we want it to hinge, and raise that up. There you go. Now let's do the same thing to this one. Soften it up, reverse it, same thing. Reverse, you got to center it. There you go. Move this guy a lot up. Let's see, are they correct? That's the key. Are they sitting flat? And I'm measuring against this white guideline down here on the top, on the bottom, I mean. And this guy needs to go down a little bit. Reverse it. Hit right. And I'm going to use the rotate tool. From right here. I'm going to move it down a little bit till I can see that they're all pretty much touching the bottom. That's good. Okay. We're good enough. Close enough. And there you go. There you guys have it. We have these toes back on. Give them a little bit of refinement. I'm going to create, obviously, the side toe tends to look different than most. You usually find the nail is sideways, so let's do that. It's really funky looking. It's all twisted and mangled. And let's create the knuckle. Create it in circles, usually. That's how they look. Like that. And carve right over here, carve right over here. A little bit of carving right on the side. A little bit of a knuckle right over here. I have created a groove on the surface of my tablet. That's why I have to move it away from it, because it's just really annoying to feel that under when you're trying to do anything with the pen. It's right in the way. Unfortunately, I have to change the part that covers it, the cover of it. It's usually a plastic piece. I don't know, like a vinyl piece. Okay, let's create this. And let's create that right over here. Separating the toe from. Let's create the nail. I believe this, maybe this is still too long. Seems like it to me. I'm going to carve here a little bit more. Give that step look. I'm going to round it off a little bit. There you go. That is looking very good. Right over here. Let's do this to these ones. They need to have this knuckle to be evident. So just this guy right over here. I find it unbelievable that this little gap was not filled in when we did the Dynamesh, unlike, you know, like what happened with these ones. Kind of give him some fake nails. There you go. So this, oops, let's get out of there. So the same thing to this guy right over here. Give him a real quick looking nail. Dive and put a little bit. Oops, a little too much. There you go. Alright. Now I want to make sure that these guys have the pads down underneath. These guys, we didn't work on these guys as much. And they look knobby. That's one thing that we got to keep in mind. More than the fingers, they do have these very strong looking pads. Very reinforced, if you may. Right. So there's this guy right over here. And I just get that by doing circles, just like you guys are seeing, and kind of donut movements real quick, and that's a good way of getting them in short order. Now toes don't have much over here in this area, so we don't put much there. Just kind of give them a little bit of structure, and that's about it. And this guy's all strange looking. At least for now. And the big toe has got dips in right over here. And it's got this big fat pad right over here. I'll give it a little bit of less intensity and a little bit bigger draw size. There you go. That's good, just like that. And make sure that these guys have their pads are strong right over here. This game is strong smoothing. There you go. Without destroying many forms, hopefully. Over here, and I'm actually letting go of the, so we get the strong relaxing brush out of our smoothing brush. And it's always good to look at your feet and make sure that you've got this right. I'm doing that just right now. Then I'm home. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of this out. How to make this knuckle strong. And I'm realizing that my toes are quite a bit short. I mean, there's the big toe. It needs to have a little bit more length. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. Actually, we can take it from here. I'm realizing that this needs to be a lot lower too. So, but I'm gonna do that when I regain some of my subdivisions, because that'd be easier to actually move them down. Right now this is supposed to be going like this in this direction, so either we're gonna have to have the big toe grow up a little bit. We can do that. Let's see if it's feasible right now. Smooth that out quite a bit. Go down, and with W we'll set it up over that, and I'll move it out like that. Can't be too much. Has to be just enough. A little bit in this direction. Let's see. good. Alright, so I'm actually going to bring what happened. Oh, that's right. And bring this a little bit back. Make these a little bit longer from this perspective. There you go. They were a little bit too, that was a little too close. I need to give them a little bit more space to the last segment. There you go. That's much better. And this one also, it's a little too close. And I'm going to mask this, soften it up, and give them a little bit more angle right over here. There you go. Okay, it's too much again. Too much of this. Too much of the smooth brush. Okay. I want to bring much more here. Much higher. Actually sort of bring them up. I think I'm going to do it as soon as I remesh them. So that's much better now. You can give them more pad right over here. Same thing right over here. Or to the side. Because you gotta erase these angles. They look too sharp right over here, so you just kind of have to take them out with the Alt key. And move a little bit of topological. Move this up in this manner. There you go. That's very good. And make sure let's not actually, let's use this one for this. And let's make sure that it's got that tilt up. Nice and bulgy over here. And we got this area covered. That's very good. Bring them a little backward. It's a little bit too forward. There you go. This is much, much better. Just bring it all back. And let's hit quick save. Okay. So I think, wait a minute. I think we're ready to actually do a remesh of this so we can work on it. So I am going to create a duplicate of it. Excuse me. Let's see, duplicate, and we're gonna hide this one for the time being. And again, we're gonna create with B, C, and R right over here. We can use some curves to create that, and create another one right over here. One on the outside. This just forces ZBrush to create nice edge loops around the eyes. Let's get over here. I create some for the nose. Create some for the nostrils. Create some around the mouth. There. And another one right over here. There you go. Excuse me, I have a scratchy throat all of a sudden. Let's use one here for the ear. And I think that'll be good for now. I can try to create some for the fingers. We can create one for the wrist. And if you push it out, you create a ring around it, just like that. Sometimes it works. And while holding shift is how you're supposed to do it. Oh, come on. No, not like that. I want it in this direction. There you go. That creates one. You have to hold shift while you actually do that. It's the way it's going to recognize that you want a loop. And do it over here. Shift. And of course it's going to try to guess where you want that loop. Like right now, that's not going to work. Let's see. Come on. Do it. Do it, do it. It's just trying to do just silly stuff right now. Well, sometimes it doesn't work. You just got to do it by hand. Just go around the finger. let's see, another one right over here. Hopefully this time it will do it. Let go. There we go, very nice. Let's hit a quick save so we don't lose our work just in case it crashes. Sometimes it loves to crash when you're doing this. And let's go. Shift again. Trying to do it outside. No, it's not going to do it. Oh, it did it. Good. Love it. We'll do another one right over here. It's shift. While holding shift, just try to go towards the outside and let go. Again. Then you gotta move it until that's what you want. Let's see how that works. Does it do good? Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm just showing you guys this so you guys know how to do this. I mean, it's not an absolute necessity for what we're doing right now. And shift again. No, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna do it. So we're just gonna have to do this one by hand. You just gotta click where you left off, literally, and try to join it up. There you go. And sometimes it doesn't work, as you can tell right there. Didn't continue it. There you go. That's much better. And shift once again. Shift once again. There you go. And once more. Takes this time to do the calculation. It's not an instant thing. Come on, do it. There you go. Let's see if it does it on this one. Yeah. I'm just gonna go for it. Do it by hand. Let's see. That's good. Let's do the pinky now. That didn't quite work. So let's see. Let's do this again. This one's going to be difficult, I can already tell. Quite complicated. Of course, the legs get in the way. Let's do this. Let's get close to it again. Let's get the legs out of the way again. Okay. And shift. There's one. Of course, it moved right at the end. If you let go before time, it will move. And maybe these are unnecessary, all of these ones. I guess it just wants to go that way. I'm just gonna let it be. No, I don't like how these ones are turning out. I'm just gonna do them by hand, because then it's gonna be all twisted. Frankly, don't want to deal with that. If I'm gonna do this, just might as well do it right. If I'm gonna go through the whole process. Okay. And one last step right over here. Good. So now we have all of that done. Sometimes it helps to get loops that move across the basically in this direction, like this, in this direction, just to indicate how you want it. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to stick with these ones. And I think that's it. I'm not going to bother with the toes. I'm just going to leave them like that. Just wanted to show you guys that. We're going to go into ZRemesher. Let's close our Dynamesh. We don't need it anymore. And let's go to ZRemesher. We're also going to use Bullet Paint. We're going to set our curve strength like somewhere around here, and the adaptive size to this size. And 20,000 will be good. At this moment, I am going to use a white for the entire body. And I'm going to fill the object with RGB to fill it with white. And I am going to paint the head with some sort of pink right over here. The redder it is, the denser the mesh will be. Let's go to standard to do that. RGB. Let's take CAD off. And let's make that a large brush. We don't need the back of the head to be super dense. Just the face is enough. And switch color. We're going to use white for this to erase some of what we've done. And I'm going to use pink again by switching colors to do the hands. And I'm going to switch colors. The larger the brush it is, the softer the gradient is between colors, as you can tell. And I'm going to switch colors, which is V. By pushing the letter B, you can switch colors, by the way. And let's do this. There you go. So we have the areas where we want the most dense mesh. I think that's good. Let's hit F to focus on the entire body, and let's go for ZRemesher. I'm going to quick save it, so just in case it crashes. And ZRemesher. Okay, so it's done with the ZRemesh. Let's see how this looks. It looks nice and organized right over here. It got somewhat good loops. Got them around the mouth. Got them around the nose. See what it did to the hands. Yeah. Nice and organized. See the tips? Oh yes. I like how the tips are. Nice and straight. Nice loops around. Very nice. So it worked well. And it put more density in the face than it did in the rest of the body, and also put more density on the hands. Let's see what it did to the fingers. Ah, it looks good too. And we didn't really have to put any rings around them. They're a little bit more unorganized. You can tell that they're moved around, like right here. The pole is right in the front, which it should have been somewhere in this area. But these ones are, the other fingers seem to be doing just fine. That's good. I like it. Turned out well. Okay, so our next step, let's give it another quick save. Here, our next step is to look at our previous mesh. So that, and we had 3.726 million. And we're gonna have to get our new one up to that high. So we're gonna divide once, twice, 3 times. There you go. That's good enough. We have 4.9, almost 5 million. So let's go back to 1. We're gonna turn our alt mesh, turn off the eyes because we don't want them projected. We're gonna select the mesh where we want the detail to be selected. That's our new ZRemesh. Make sure of that. And you got to turn on the eye right over here. So ZBrush recognizes that this actual mesh will be projected onto this one. Okay, so let's do that. Let's close ZRemesher and let's go for where's our projection? Right here. Project. And these settings are usually pretty good to start with. Very rarely do I have to mess with them, so let's go for it. Project all on the first one. And it did its first one. Now let's go up and let's hit D to go up one subdivision and project all again. And it's still thinking. You can tell that the brush is not catching just yet. Let's go for another one, another subdivision, and project all. I'm just gonna stop the recording while it's processing because no point in wasting video time, you guys just staring at the screen. So here we go, project all. Okay, it's done with the third projection, and now we're gonna go on to our fourth and do the same thing, project all. Okay, you guys, it's finally done. That one took a while. So let's see how it looks. And we have retained all of our subdivisions. Ones on the mouth I'm not liking that much. They kind of come across, but you know what, it doesn't matter. This is not our final output, so as long as it works, that's all I care. See, the neck looks good. Alright, and let me change this color. There you go. Nice. Feet are doing well. What is this out here? Sometimes the mesh creates little issues like this. Let's see. There you go. I'm gonna have to work those out before anything else. Let's quick save that before anything else happens. It took quite a while. And sometimes you just gotta fix these, isolating them. Sometimes you get these peaks that they just need to be moved. So with the move topological, you can actually go to dynamic by holding shift at the same time. Now you are not set to dynamic and just try to move them in. Sometimes all they need is a little nudge. Sometimes. Like right now it doesn't want to cooperate. Let's see what happens if we go down. There you go. And RGB, and move this to 100. Come on, come on. Sometimes they don't want to work, and that's just the way it is. Let's try to smooth it out. There you go. Now it's working. And now I can get this. From both sides. Let's move this in. Make the brush a little bigger. I'm not liking what this is doing. But it's good enough. Let's hope that doesn't create problems later on. No issues. That is quite an ugly solution. D. You know, sometimes the best thing to do is bring it all the way down and just get rid of those two. I'm going to select them. Select this. Oh. Get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, and just get rid of this one. And that's the last one. Reverse it. Actually, that one needs to be taken out too. Let's do that. Hold on. We gotta take those two out. So take that one out, take that one out, reverse it. Oh, come on. Why aren't they showing? There you go. And just get rid of them. Oh, but that's right. We're not going to be able to get rid of them because we have we have already a number of levels here. You know what? I'm just going to leave it like that. It's not that big of a deal. And once we work the entire thing, it's not going to be a big deal at the end. I think so. I'm being picky right now. Okay, so let's go back to our feet real quick. I want to make sure that at lower levels I can use some of this. I don't want to use clay, just clay tubes. I want to make my knuckle a little squarish, because the tendon is going to go right through here. Let's select our feet so we don't have to deal with the rest of the body. Like that, and carve in the middle, like that. Smooth it out. That's very nice, like that. Smooth these out. Make sure that there's give it more area to the pads. I'm going to make this one bigger on the side. Get a little bit more surface area. I like that. That looks good. Let's give them that little separation between the bone area and the actual pad. Make sure that we have it there. Like that. And this one is not as obvious. Now let's give him some more girth. And the little toe has a prominence on the side. It may be that it's already there, but because we move the finger in this direction, we can't notice it as much. But it's still, I feel like we need to put it in there anyway. Like that. Let's get an element, and there's another one right over here. Now, the feet may be a little bit too wide in this figure. So I want to bring them in. Actually, not with this, but come on. Alright, let's soften that up. And with W, let's bring this in. I'm gonna show up the entire body because I don't want to have problems with it later. Well, let's see what happens. Move them in. Yeah, I think that would be a problem. That is going to create issues later. So, how to do this? How to do this? I have to make sure that we're also selecting all of this area. And this area. Okay. W, move them in a little bit more, and do it again for all of these ones. Let's see. And W again. Making not that wide. Deselect that. Select these two. Reverse it. Now with W, let's move it again. Select these ones. Actually, the other way around. Select this. Soften it. Nope, not too much. Reverse it and move it again. So hopefully this made them a little bit not as wide, because they were a little too wide. It looked like flippers, and we don't want that. Okay, we have that over there. And let's move this like this over here. There you go. I think these toes are looking awesome. There's another thing that we got to do with them, and it's you have to select them one by one. Actually, reverse it and then do that. And let's, with our transpose line, W, and we're going to use let's lower it a little bit, and we're going to use our rotate tool for this. And W. Okay. And now I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to select the last part of the toe. I'm going to reverse it, soften it, and now we're going to move this right over here. And oh no, with rotate, with R, I'm going to bring him down. So they're a little raised. And I guess there's a number of ways of doing that. I don't think it's necessarily you have to do it with this. I guess we can do it with the move tool. I mean, they can be done like that too. But sometimes I feel like the correct way of doing it is just by translating them or rotating them. Like that. I think that's good. Now with clay tubes, you got to make sure that that knuckle doesn't get erased, and it's got to be there. Even if the foot is looking at, even if the first metatarsal is looking up, the knuckle's got to be there. Okay, so let's go up in levels. I think we've done a good job on that. I'll make this a little bit bigger. There you go. And you know, there's differences in everybody's toe, so I mean, what may look like this to in my feet may look completely different on your feet. So I'm following my feet. I do that quite a bit, and I think I mentioned that before. But it's good to just at least have a good base on where to base these things. And there you go. And with the move topological, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a nudge right over here. There you go. That looks very good. This tends to be and let's bring these ones forward. The pads go forward to the actual toe area, just like that. Let's move that out. There's too much of a ridge right over here. I don't want that. Shift D. There you go. That's a good one. Tubes. Now, right over here, you get usually a kind of a strip of skin, and that's a good way of putting it. We may be able to get away with it by using standard. Get it out of RGB, just we had before. See add, and let's go to our brush. Where's our brush? Let's close preferences. Guess I don't have, yeah, here, brush right in front of me. And let's go to depth, move it down, and we can, oh, that's too strong, so let's move the intensity down. That's good. That creates a nice flap skin like that it bulges out. Just like that. That looks good. Let's bring this back to 0 because we're not going to need it like that anymore. I mean, I think that's looking excellent. I am going to a little bit into this area. Make sure to soften this. Make sure this goes in the right direction. The space between the tarsals, that's a little too strong. And let's see, less strength. That focal shift is fine. I don't know why I moved it, but this gotta be a lot less strong. Again, I don't use this brush very often. I don't really care about the way it does things, especially at higher resolutions. It just creates more problems than it solves. But in some instances, it works fine. Like right here. Even though the standard brush is, well, the standard that ZBrush comes with. It's central brush, literally. Let's go to D. We already have a lot of the tendons drawn in there. That's good. I don't have to do much to them. So we've done that part. I want to get serious here with some of these areas. Let me go back to Clay 2's, my favorite brush. I like how it works. And create these transitions right over here. Same thing right here. Real quick. Let's see if this with it works well to separate the bone from the actual pad, like that. Don't really care much for that flap of skin there. I can't do much about it. As soon as I try to stretch it, as soon as I try to smooth it, it just gets all stretched out. And that's all geometry issues that can be solved later on with a proper remeshing. That will either do part of its. I'm going to show you how to do it with C-spheres right here inside of ZBrush, and then we're going to attempt doing it in Maya, so the rest of it. So we get both ways of doing the remesh. Okay. There you go. So we've done that separation, that indentation. The inside of the big toe, it really caves in towards the inside. Something that you got to be aware of. Keep in mind when you're sculpting it. I think we're done with that. I'm going to create the, whoops, no, let's see. Okay, make this straight right over here. Let's see, is that good? Let's go up in levels. Smooth that out, and now let's reverse that with Control Shift. Oops, no, don't do that. With Control Option, hit on it to sharpen that mask. Let's use our line right over here, rotation line, and let's rotate it. Lock it to the front, to the side, so you don't do a sideways rotation. Whoops. Got to make sure that you are selecting these parts, otherwise. There you go. Okay, so let's do this again. Rotate, push down in, push it in. Whoop. Rotate. Let's push it in from this area. And that looks real good. Like that. And I'm going to hit U. And with Damien Standard. Oh, that's too strong. Let's go down. Just very slightly, just to create a little bit of division there. Yeah, I don't want to create too deep with this because, well, it doesn't look good. I learned that it's better just not to. This one created a nice division line. I like it. This toe nail, it's pretty much done. There's nothing I can do about it to make it better. I'm just going to spread this a little bit on this side, and that's about all I'm gonna do. It's because it's kind of moved to the side. It's looking sideways. It shouldn't do that. That's much better. Bring this down. D and D. T. And that cuticle is looking weird, so let's soften it up. We'll give another Damien Standard right over here. There you go. And sometimes you have cuticles that look like that, so I guess it's not that bad. Let's sharpen that up. That's good. Give it a smoothing. There you go. That looks good. Topological. Give that a little bit more square look to it. More for the bone. Let's work now on the next one. Let's soften that geometry because it captured all of the harsh edges of each polygon when we did the projection. Maybe we could have used a little bit more softening or more smoothing when creating the projection, but sometimes that just ruins all the big forms, and that's why I choose not to use it. Strengthen it, but besides, this is easy to get rid of just with a smooth brush. It's no big deal. At least for me, it's not a big deal. I'd rather do this than to have to recreate all of the forms I just did. And that's sometimes what happens when you use that the smoothing option while you're ZRemeshing. Dynameshing. And that's like that. Now I've gotten rid of all of that, or at least most of it, and that looks a lot smoother. This one still has some here on the side. I'll continue to do that. Okay. So now that we've created that thumbnail, let's create the next one. I'm having in subdivision 3. I think at this point, let's see, how are we going to do with this tool? with this type of lasso tool for it, probably good to do it that way. And let's deselect this one. Oh, the other one, the other way around, with Control Option, get rid of it. Now tap in the background to reverse the selection. Let's use our transpose line. Let's use it over here. Hit R for rotation. Let's bring it up a little bit and bring it down a little bit. And I think that's good. A bit of smoothing. A little bit of Damien standard. Keep that in right there. And yes, I guess I could have used the move tool to bring the nail in and then elongate it, but I didn't. Don't want to make the toenails too long to begin with, so a little bit more smoothing here. Rid of all these issues. Whoop. And with Option, I'm just sharpening the cuticle. I'm going to select the nail again. Now from this toe. Make sure that that's kind of how it looks on mine. Yeah, it's sort of funky looking. And let's deselect that from the bottom. Option Control and do a marquee. Make sure it's gone. Is it gone? Yeah, it's gone. And reverse it. Transpose line once again from here to here. Hit R so you change that transpose line to the rotation line. Bring it up. Bring this side down. Let's try to do with the W move. You can push it in and bring it out. Oh, you gotta redo the transpose line when you do that. So you gotta move it and from this area and move it this way. That way it grows from this side. Now we can give it a little bit of smoothing. Reverse that. A little smoothing. Let's get rid of that. We are still the Damien standard, so we can dig a little deeper right over here. Make that smooth. Actually, with the clay twos, I always end up moving that one. You can just make them soft and round like that. Go back to Damien standard. You can give it a little sharpening with the option by holding the option key or alt key in PCs. There you go. We have a nice strong nail. I like it. I like how that's working. Actually, I'm even thinking about redoing that on this one mask pen because it looks that good. Looks nice and sharp, and we're only on level 3, so it's good. And with the W, move it here. We're going to move it in and out right over here. That looks very good. Although I'm sure as soon as you do some sort of a remesh, it's going to blend it all together once again. Let's do it right over here. Although this big toe one, it looks good, and I actually like how it turned out, so I'm not that upset about it. Let's turn it around. W. Let's bring it in. And let's bring it out right over here. Let go. Get a little bit of smoothing. And there you go. You have another one. Let's go to this one. Let's do a little trick right over here. Whoops, that's too much. Okay, reverse it. W. Create the line. So let me redo it again. Okay. And let's go for rotate. Put in that in this from this view. Up, down, W to move it in and to stretch it out. A little bit of smoothing. Actually, let me do something. I want to go back. There you go. I'm going to smooth this because it's a little too sharp. I just don't want to affect what I was doing. Click tubes to take it out. Take all those edges from the sides because they shouldn't be. This one on the front is fine. These ones from the side are not okay. The nail is supposed to be round. Although granted, these nails are so screwed up that toenails are just not pretty. Okay, let's give it a little smoothing, and with the Damien standard, let's reinstate that line. And with the option, let's give it a little bit stronger cuticle. All of these things are subtle things. Once again, this is the one that kind of comes sideways. Frankenstein nail. I'm going to go all the way up in subdivisions. Oops. Because this one is kind of low, so it's going to be very jaggedy. I don't want that. Again with W, move it this way. Change it to R. Up, down, now up. And with W. In. Whoops, I chose the wrong one. W. Push it in and make it grow. Okay. Gonna give it a little bit of smoothing. I already was in Damien standard. Push that in. Even at a higher subdivision, these things are pretty jaggedy. I don't know if I like it. This little toe probably needed more subdivisions, but that's all it's gonna get. And let's sharpen the cuticle, and there you have it. Toes are done, feet are done. We will be repositioning them once we're done. So this one will come in this way, this one this way. They're all will tuck in so that they look good. But other than that, these guys are done. Once we're ready to do texturing, high res details, we will do whatever lines need to be on the knuckles, even though the feet kind of like they're not like the hands, which have a lot of wrinkles on the top. So I want to give this one last bump because it's kind of too thin. I don't like that. And I'm going to move it sideways and make it very grotesque. So does this one. I think that I like that much better. Okay, sounds good. Now bring the entire body, and I think we are done with this stage of the sculpt. And that's all for this one. we will continue on the next one. We will be doing basically just putting the skin on, which it's literally just softening a lot of these forms, hiding them with a little bit of fat, and that'll be it. And then after that, I think we will be ready to be doing laying out a remesh with polypaint, plotting it on top of the figure, and then we'll start remeshing. Until then, I'll see you guys later.